Are you ready to take your language learning to the next level? In this video, I will be sharing some of my favorite tricks and tips that I hope will help you make your language learning journey easier, more enjoyable, and much more fun. Hi there, my name is Maria. Welcome to my channel. I'm a native Ukrainian speaker living in the United States. I started this channel to share more about my Ukrainian language and Ukrainian culture with anyone who is interested. So on top of more general language learning tips, I will share some more specific tips on how you can learn Ukrainian language better. Even though I'll be talking about Ukrainian language, these tips are very universal. I used them when I learned English, so I'm sure you can use them for any language you're learning. Hey, let me know why you're here. Which language are you learning? I'll be really interested to know. Learning new language can be very difficult. Sometimes it may feel like you are stuck. It may feel like you haven't been making progress for a while. Come back to these tips when you feel on your lowest, and I hope that they will help you to get over this plateau and spring fast your learning. I'm really excited to share these tips with you, and I hope that you will be able to achieve all your language learning goals. From setting realistic goals to immersing yourself in the language, I will share all the tips that will help you make the most out of your language learning journey. I guess this is the place where all those YouTube gurus tell you to ask your audience to
press the like button.
So please press the like button. Alright, so go grab your notebook and get ready to write down these 10 tips on how you can improve your language learning journey. Let's get started! Tip 1 for enhancing your language learning journey: set realistic goals. Setting realistic goals is the key to language learning. Normally, when people start learning new languages, they really dream to be fluent overnight. Well, this is just not realistic. Instead of waiting for magic to happen, it's really important to set achievable and realistic goals. This will help you to stay on track with your learning, but also stay motivated. So instead of giving yourself a goal to be fluent in a year, you can break that big goal down into smaller pieces and set those realistic expectations for yourself. You can set a goal to be able to introduce yourself in Ukrainian by the end of the month. By the way, I have a video that will help you just with that. Another good example of an achievable goal is to be able to read a short story in the language by, the end of the quarter. So by breaking down these big goals into an easy, achievable, smaller goals, you will give yourself a sense of accomplishment when you achieve it, which will help you keep moving forward in your language learning journey. Importantly, don't forget to celebrate your wins. Every goal that you achieve, make yourself a small celebration. For my Ukrainian learners, wherever you are in your journey, it's a good time to take a step back and think about what would you like to achieve with your Ukrainian language learning. You should look at what would you like to achieve and how much time and effort are you willing to put into it. For example, if you have a trip to Ukraine in a couple months, it may be really realistic to have a basic conversation with the locals, but it may not be realistic to move around without a translator. Tip number 2, immerse yourself in the language. A lot of people know about this tip, and yet a lot of people overlook it. One of the best ways to study language is to immerse yourself in it. This means surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible by exposing yourself to movies on that language or songs in that language, or even just having the conversations with native speakers. By exposing yourself to the language, you will be able to pick up those little nuances that you won't be able to pick up in the classroom or by reading textbooks. So the next time you're driving in the car or cleaning the house or doing some other small chores where you can use some background music, turn on the song on the language of your choosing and try to listen to the words. Try to hear some words that you learned before, or try to learn the lyrics and sing along. This will help your learning a lot. This is also a great way to practice in a safe environment. You can try to speak after the characters or lip sync the song, and you can hear what you're doing wrong right away by following the original speaker. So go ahead and immerse yourself in the language, and you will be surprised how much you can learn just by having it in your everyday life. For my Ukrainian learners, there is a lot of Ukrainian music and Ukrainian movies and TV shows right here in the YouTube. Even on my channel, I try to share some of the Ukrainian songs and hope to do more in the future. And let me know if there is any specific Ukrainian songs you would like to learn. Okay, moving on. Tip number 3, be consistent. Consistency is the key when we're talking about language learning. It's really important to set aside at least a couple minutes a day for your language learning activities. It may be practicing the language, or it can be reviewing the vocabulary words, but just a couple minutes a day is really important to keep your progress going. When you start learning new language, it's really easy to get excited and spend hours learning new words, watching movies, trying to listen to songs, but it is important to remember that it's not how much you're studying, it's more how consistently you do it. Even if you can spare only a couple minutes a day, it's completely okay as long as you consistently invest into improving your language skills. The key here is to make language a part of your routine. For example, when you wake up in the morning and going through your morning routine, you can play a podcast in that language. Having this podcast on the background will allow you to practice listening to the language. When you are on the ride to work, you can spend a couple minutes watching to the videos and repeating the words after. Finally, when you get back home before bed, you can quickly review the new words that you learned. Just a couple minutes a day will help you progress further, so it's important to stay consistent. The key is to make it a habit and stick with it. You will be surprised how much progress you start seeing in your language learning journey just by staying consistent and devoting time to practice. That being said, don't get absolutely discouraged when you miss a day. A lot of language learners tend to have this all or nothing mindset. When they skip a day, they think that their progress is completely ruined and they might as well give up rather than continue with this imperfect journey. And unfortunately, it's exactly this all or nothing mindset that keeps them from making progress in their overall journey. So instead of giving up when you miss one day of practice, just pick up the next day. Try using 2 out of 3 rule. 2 out of 3 rule allows you to be kind to yourself and to encourage the progress by completing at least 66% of the journey. So if you skip a day, focus on practicing the next 2 days. Showing up is much better than not for your progress. Just show up and do as much as you can that day. Doing something is better than doing nothing. Remember, learning new language takes time, and consistency is a key to making it happen. Set a schedule and follow it, and you'll see progress in no time. Tip number 4. Use multiple sources. When it comes to language learning, variety is a spice of life. By using different sources and gaining information from different outlets, you can actually get a more well-rounded understanding of language and pick up different nuances that you wouldn't pick up from one source otherwise. And I'm not only talking about using different textbooks. Once again, you can watch movies, you can listen to music, you can go and listen to podcasts. For example, you can learn grammar from textbook, you can watch movies to learn the colloquialism and nuances of speaking. Then you can listen to podcasts to enhance your comprehension and understanding skills. You can use flashcards to memorize vocabulary and then try to use it in a real-life conversations with the native speakers. This way you can learn and practice language in different contexts, which will let you be more confident. So don't be afraid to mix up different sources. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more you'll learn and the faster you'll reach your language learning goals. And most importantly, be creative and have fun with it. For my Ukrainian learners, I started doing something a little bit different on my channel. I started creating karaoke for the Ukrainian songs using both Cyrillic and Latin letters, so you can try to learn the songs and practice by singing along without actually the artist itself. It's really important to speak by yourself and listen to your voice so you can possibly correct the mistake. So check out those karaoke videos. I'll attach a link below. Tip number 5, practice speaking. Well, I know, you heard it probably a million times, but that's true that the best way to get better in speaking new language is to speak new language. So speak new language as much as possible, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it is uncomfortable. It's all well to know grammar, vocabulary, but without being able to speak the language, you are not truly fluent. And the good news is the more you practice, the better and more confident you become. And let me open you a big secret. We love when people try to speak our language. And by we, I think any language speaker out there. It's so great to feel that someone is trying to learn your language and try to be closer to your culture, and we're all really proud of the efforts that you are putting towards that. Great job, keep going. So how can you get yourself more opportunities to practice speaking language? Well, you can sign up to a language exchange program and possibly go and visit that country, but if this option sounds a little bit too much, there's also other ways. For example, you can record yourself speaking the language and then listen back, trying to find the areas for improvement. Another advice I can give you is to try to join forums or subreddits that are devoted to speaking and learning the language of your choosing. There are a lot of people just like you who might also need a conversation partner, so it's never hurts to ask if anyone else wants to practice language. After all, you are just following the same language learning journey as someone else. And the key is to keep practicing even if you're making mistakes. Making mistakes is inevitable, but the only way to actually get better is to keep pushing despite the mistakes. So make speaking a priority of your language learning goal. The more you speak, the more you practice, the better you become, the more confident you will become, and the faster you reach your language learning goals. Don't be shy, just do it. For my Ukrainian language learners, I love singing, and I find that singing is a great way to practice pronunciation, but also to enhance your mood. So check out several of the Ukrainian songs that I have on my channel, and I hope that those karaoke versions will help you to spread fast your learning of Ukrainian language. Tip 6, learn vocabulary. When it comes to language learning, vocabulary is the backbone to communication. Knowing a lot of words in the language allows you to clearly express your thoughts and opinions. The math is easy. The more words you know, the more you'll be able to say and the more you'll be able to understand. For example, trying to have a conversation with someone and not understanding a single word is incredibly frustrating. Same, it's crazily frustrating when people cannot understand what you are trying to say. That's why it's important to invest time into learning new words. And you can do it multiple ways. One of the nice ways to learn new words is by using flashcards. You write the word on your native language on one side and then the translation of it on another side. Then you can go through your flashcards and you can do it in two ways. First, you can look at the foreign word and try to remember what this word is in your native language. And the second way is to do vice versa. You can look at the word in your native language and try to remember how to say it in the foreign language you are trying to learn. You can also learn new words by playing word games. There are a lot of different apps on iPhone and Android that will help you expand your vocabulary. But beware, instead of simply memorizing the words and their meanings, try to use these words in your conversations and in writings in your subsequent lessons. The more you use these words, the easier it will be for you to remember them and subsequently retrieve from your memory when you need to. For my Ukrainian learners, I've created the multiple vocabulary videos where you can learn Ukrainian words that pertain to one specific topic. Don't forget to check them out. Don't underestimate the importance of learning new words when you are trying to learn a new language. Make building a vocabulary a priority, and you'll be surprised how fast you'll see progress in your language learning journey. Practice the new words that you learn by speaking them, writing them, and listening them and comprehending them. This way, you will be able to engage all three modes of learning and all three senses, and it will help you learn and remember them better. Tip number 7, understand grammar. When it comes to learning new language, I get it. Grammar is not the most exciting aspect, but it's really important one nevertheless. Understanding grammar rules is important to build a solid foundation of communication and be able to express your thoughts in a structured and appropriate way in a foreign language. Without understanding foundations of grammar, you'll be struggling to form coherent sentences and express your ideas clearly. For example, if you don't know how to use conjugate verbs, it might be really difficult for the native speaker to understand what you're trying to say. Or if you don't know noun cases, it may be very difficult to actually compose the legit sentence. But learning grammar doesn't need to be boring. Try to gamify this very daunting process for yourself. You can look up some grammar learning games, build a flashcards, memorize patterns and rules, and hopefully this will help you make grammar a little bit more fun and more memorizable. So don't overlook grammar in your language learning journey. It might not be the most glamorous aspect, but it's certainly a crucial one. Make sure to set aside time to learn grammar, and you'll be on your way to fluency in no time. For my Ukrainian learners, I wish I could help. I don't feel qualified to teach you grammar, vocabulary, and culture and music. This is my thing, but there are a lot of great resources online and offline to study grammar. Tip number 8. Watch for patterns. When it comes to language learning, one of the best ways to make progress is to start recognizing the patterns. Learning and recognizing patterns in words formation, sentence structure, vocabulary, and so on will allow you to much easier learn new words and save time in the future. For example, for a lot of languages, once you understand the basic verb conjugations, you would be able to learn new verbs with no problem. By noticing patterns in grammar rules, you will have much easier time with building sentences and will be able to structure your communication faster in no time. You can also use these patterns that you notice as a prediction tool. So you can try to predict what's the next phrase, word, or sentence in a text would be, and this will help you to understand the overall meaning of the passage. To my Ukrainian learners, what are some Ukrainian language patterns that you've noticed that help you to enhance your learning? Let me know below in the comments. Keep an eye for patterns as you learn the new language. Picking up and remembering these patterns will allow you to become more efficient in learning and get to your learning goals faster. Tip number 9, use context. When it comes to learning language, understanding the context in which the word is used can make all the difference. Instead of translating sentences word by word, it's a good practice to try to understand what the context is and what this word mean together as a collective. By being able to identify the context in which the word is used, you would be able to understand the meaning of the word and a phrase much faster and will be able to use this word in your own communication much more accurately. Let me give you an example from the English language. The word book. Without knowing the context, this word can mean so many different things. It can mean a reading book. It can mean to book as if to make a reservation. Another example, a word chat. Without knowing what context this word is used, you would not be able to understand if your conversation partner is going to have an online conversation with you or meet you for a cup of coffee. So always keep context in mind when you are trying to learn new language. By being able to identify context faster, you would be able to better understand what your conversation partner means and will be able to use these words yourself more accurately. Finally, tip number 10. Have fun. Learning can be a daunting, repetitive process. To make sure that you stick to your plan and continue making progress on your language learning journey, try to make it more fun for yourself. You can make learning more enjoyable by trying to find the interesting and unique ways to incorporate the language in your everyday life. We spoke several times about listening to music, podcasts, and watching movies. I recommend you try that. Most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment and try what works for you. Maybe it is a 30 minutes a day of watching TV. Maybe it's listening to the songs while you shower, or speaking to your native speaker friend 5 minutes on a work break. Whatever it is, the most important thing is to find activities that you enjoy and that will continue to keep you motivated with your process. Finally, a bonus tip. This tip made all the difference with my learning of English language. When I was learning English language, the biggest thing that helped me the most is immersing myself in the language, but immersing myself in a very specific way. If you have an opportunity, go ahead and visit the country where the language you're trying to learn is a native language. By putting yourself in the environment where you don't have a choice but speak that language can make all the difference. Suddenly you remember all those new words that you learned and you can actually speak better than you ever hoped for. So if you have a chance, consider visiting the country where the language that you're learning is native language. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope these 10 tips will help you. If you enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button and subscribing to this channel. I really appreciate it, and it's extremely motivating for me to continue making these videos. As always, stay tuned for bloopers. Bye bye! I started the from setting realistic goals. For example, you can learn grammar from textbook, then you can go to For example, you can learn grammar from textbook. You can watch. For example, you can learn grammar from textbook. One word that I really hate pronouncing is vocabulary.